Do you have audio for me now?
I do.
Perfect. We made it.
um, Dude, so I toured with Currents twice now. Last year? Was that last year? uh, you guys are
Yeah.
so sick live. You guys kind of really came up fast, I feel like. Was your band's growth kind of what you guys expected? Like, were you guys really aiming to kind of take the scene by storm, or what was the plan there?
So it's funny that Chris Davis is in the chat because he kind of said something like this to me when we played in Maryland, is that the bands that grow slow and kind of build over time last longer than the ones that like immediately had hype and then fizzle out fast. And from my perspective, Currents has grown extremely slow. It seems like forever. I've been with the group for 7 years now, and at that time, I was paying attention to Era. I think around when Jesse was like 21, 20, and to
I
me,
remember
Era
you
was.
from way back in the day.
I saw all of Era's first shows in Connecticut, even before you were in the band. Um, Era was like a band I always made sure to catch when they were in town, and I couldn't say that about a lot of bands. But yeah, to me it seemed extremely slow. We, did the ticket selling thing. I remember that fondly. And I'm not even original. The band existed several years before I was in the band. It started in 2011. And so 2011 to 2014 they're doing the local thing, they did an EP and a few singles. Um
Man, Connecticut seems like such a good place to be from as far as local scene goes. I mean, not this year is just a weird warp of reality, but every show I've ever played in Connecticut was pretty sick. And it's funny you say that about Era because I even remember way back, like as soon as I joined the band, the Connecticut shows just seemed to be like something we strive to have all the time. Um,
it's it's interesting because I feel like no matter where you're from, you have like this mindset that, man, the scene is so much sicker
yeah,
in other places. Um,
I mean,
and
when you have like California and Atlanta to like contrast from, you're just kind of like, dang, I wish I was from these places.
yeah, or I hear like people talk about Ohio or Michigan. I'm like, damn, this sucks. I'm like, what do you mean? We came as Romans, Attack Attack, and all the Joy Sturgis bands from there. And it's like, your scene sounds awesome to me, but I
Yeah,
would imagine
I
in
guess
Connecticut.
grass is always greener.
Yeah. The thing about Connecticut is all we really have is Hatebreed. Um,
Hey,
as
that's a big have, dude.
it is, but outside of that, we really just have members from bands. We had, the Leonetti brothers who founded Amir back in the day. You have um, some people from Killswitch. Um, just a lot of like single people. I guess Fate's Warning is another big band based in Connecticut. But yeah,
Yep.
we really never had like bands that are like, this is a Connecticut band.
Well,
We
I guess shout out to Scott Lee because that dude and his venue. I mean, every time we play there, it just seems like that guy. I guess he does a lot for the scene there. Um,
Yeah, so he lives in Mass, like literally like 5 minutes past Connecticut. Like if you're at the very top of Connecticut, you drive like 5-10 minutes further, you're at Scott's place.
right,
And
and he does a lot for the scene in Worcester and stuff too. So it's just like,
right. He stopped like booking and doing all that a few years ago and went like more full-time management entrepreneur. But yeah, he definitely put a lot of heart into the scene for, you know, Connecticut Mass, the Mass concerts, and even like booked at this venue in Holyoke, Mass called Waterfront that lasts a little while. But yeah, so overall the scene in Connecticut, I think, like you said, grass is always greener on the other side. I never,
yeah,
because Connecticut's not an A market. It's not classified as an A market
Right.
by promoters and agents, but um, like we've all of Kern's best shows have been there, and as far as like headline shows, and I think that's because we just played it so much and have slowly built up something there. But yeah, as far as like Kern's growth rate, what I expected, um, I guess the growth rate we've had was maybe lower than I expected, but then over the past 2 years was higher than I expected based on the first 2 years. And this is partly because I forgot what shows are like, but how like the album did on Spotify. The album exceeded like on Spotify like everything I expected. Like um, some of the songs already like outstreamed all our
Yeah.
other songs in just a few months, and I was just like, my God, this makes it makes no sense, but I'll take it.
Well, I mean, I guess like people are stuck at home. People are listening to more music. Streaming numbers should rise. But it's crazy, man. I was having Jesse came into town. You know, he moved out to LA, but he came into town for Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And we were talking about how this is such a weird time because you could be like grossing these crazy numbers on like streaming services, but like as far as our genre and our bands go, like what really gave us the satisfaction and knowledge about how your band was doing was shows. So it's like
Yes.
seeing these streaming numbers but not knowing if we can sell venues out. It's such a weird it's almost dissatisfying to see those numbers and not know if like you'd be selling out venues or how the shows would be going, but it's just it's so weird.
So the funny thing about that though is that I can name so many bands, and I won't name them out of respect to them, that have insane Spotify numbers. But I know at my like in Connecticut and most places they're gonna draw 75, 100 people.
Right.
Like bands with monthly listeners double what we have, like, and are gonna draw maybe like half of what we do. I know a lot, like a surprising amount. And
then you know, this year 2020 2021, it's almost you can debate about which one is better. would you
Yeah.
Would you rather have insane streaming numbers and content eaters, or would you want to sell venues out? It's so weird.
Part of it depends, one, if you're able to tour, and two, if you're on a label. Because if you're on a label, all the streaming money kind of just evaporates.
Just getting eat up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pac-Man. So not being on a label and streaming a lot is pretty sweet. But
yeah,
if you're on a label, then you're relying on touring. So primarily, and it definitely is not sick.
The constant urge to want to try to be self-sufficient and not on a label is always in the back of every musician's head, I think.
I think it should be, yeah.
Yeah, I do too, and especially we've had talks about like the further we go into the future, like our labels even doing much more than just being banks for people. But I think bad labels have put bad tastes in people's mouths, and we just signed to Unified not too long ago, and I'm really happy with a lot of the effort they're putting into releasing stuff and coming up with content. I think that's a big thing. It's like having a creative eye.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, so one thing I heard Misha say is that one day labels and managers, it's kind of already happening already, but they're going to just become one thing.
Yeah.
And like offer, because you can't really justify, like 50-50 with labels would be fantastic. 15% manager standard. But even with all that, if your manager is just super creative and offers a lot, you can't justify giving up 50% or more to a label just for any reason at all.
Yeah.
Like, just because they're a bank, you can take out a loan, you can
Yeah,
work
exactly.
harder at a day job. There are other ways to make money than to
Exactly,
borrow.
which is why the whole like a label as a bank thing is funny, because it's like it just takes away that power from that name. But yeah, people don't realize that being in a band is almost 80% being a business and 20% making music and yeah. Well, dude, tell me about your year and what you've been doing. Tell me how both bands are doing, because I got to tell you, I love Shadow of Intent. I love that band.
Really?
I do.
That's awesome.
I heard the name, like I knew who you were, and I heard the name Shadow of Intent, and I never knew you were part of that band. And then I started listening to it, and I was like, oh, this band is sick.
Yeah, Jesse and Alex and Corey, basically when Ghost Atlas was on tour, they came to see our headlining show in Ohio because Ghost Atlas was playing Ohio the same day as Shadow of Intent. So I didn't get to see you or JT, but got to see Jesse and Alex.
Some of the boys.
Wait, I'm missing somebody. Oh, Connor. Connor was there too.
Oh, then that was an Era tour. It wasn't Ghost Atlas.
Well, no, it was Ghost Atlas.
Was it?
No, it was Ghost Atlas.
Okay.
They were opening for it wasn't Anthony Green, something like that though.
Oh, the Almost tour.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was in January.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that was cool to see them. The bassist in Shadow Intent also like has loved Era from day one, and having Jesse like watch him was like his heart melted.
That's good.
It was a great night. But I'm glad you enjoy it. The year has been interesting. January was when Shadow Intent did that tour. Went really well. Had 600 people some days, which was insane because it felt like a joke. It felt like someone paid people to show up to us, to our show. Because I remember the day selling tickets. I remember the days being opener, getting $100. So to have like 600 people come to see a headlining show for me is like, who paid you to be here?
Right.
This is like some weird, sick, twisted joke that doesn't make any sense. But it was humbling for sure. And then right after that, did Silent Planet with Currents, which was, a great tour for Currents. Silent Planet's like one of my favorite new bands, and that got cut a week short. Basically, we were on tour, and we see like 20 tours get canceled in one day, and we're like, oh shit. And then get pushed back a few months, and we're like, I'll just wait a few months. Should be fine. Our May tour should still be good. Our June tour should still be good. And then March comes, or not March, maybe April. And they're like, yeah, don't buy your plane tickets. May's not happening. And so just cancellation after cancellation after cancellation. And you don't really know when a tour is going to come back. So, like, all right, well, now I need something to do. And some people's mindset was music's completely on hold for them. They're going to find a job that's not music, and they're going to just work a job until touring comes back, and they're just kind of fall out of music a little bit. But other people's mindset is, I'm going to focus even harder on music and set myself up better for when touring does come back.
That's a good mindset to have, yeah.
That was for sure my mindset. I was like, all right, well, there's a lot of music-related things that I've been needing to do that I keep telling myself I'm going to do when I'm home from tour.
Yeah.
But my home from tour is so limited that I don't find the time to do it. So...
yeah, I commend you on that too. Playing in two bands that are almost on a full-time touring schedule. Dude, you're always out. It's crazy.
And not touring at all made it very easy. There was going to be the first overlap this year, and it got canceled.
Do you mind me asking what you guys were planning on doing?
So yeah, the plan was
fill in or
yeah, the May tour I was gonna go to Europe with Currents. I was gonna need a fill-in for about a week for Shadow Intent. So we had it set up where Lorna Shore's guitar player Andrew was gonna
oh yeah,
take
yeah.
over
Okay.
for a week for me. Yeah, he's from Connecticut. One of the best Connecticut guitarists there is.
Okay.
And then I would take over for the As I Dying tour with Whitechapel, and then right after that, well, not right after. In August, Shadow Intent had European festivals scheduled, but Currents had an Australian tour. And as much as I want to go to Australia, um, some of these festivals have like 10,000, 40,000 people going to them. I'm
Yeah.
like, I have never done anything like that, and I'm gonna hate myself if I don't do that. And for some reason, never get to do that. So I said, I really want to do this, and they were supportive. Currents was supportive, so I was all set to do that.
That's sick.
And I think we might have had like Gabe from Enterprise Earth filling for Currents, another fantastic guitar player, and Scott Lee manages his band as well. And then a lot of stuff was really sick, but just never got announced. And
Yeah.
probably not allowed to announce what it was. But
as far as the content or the music for both bands, who do you feel worse for letting them fill in, Shadow of Intent or Currents?
Shadow Intent is harder to play for sure.
That's what I was gonna say, but I didn't want to I didn't want to assume.
Yeah, that doesn't mean like the music is inherently better or by any means, but
it's just more demanding.
It is more demanding.
Yeah.
I feel more stressed out thinking about playing it.
That's a good way to word that.
Yeah. When certain solos come up, I'm like, God damn, I should have warmed up more. And
that's amazing.
But I, selected guitarists to fill in that I considered superior to me, at least at shredding. You can argue, like, if I'm a better writer or if I'm better at this or that, but as far as like technical skill, technique, clean shredding, I picked people that I think are better than me and would do me justice. Maybe even do better than I would, but
yeah, you're like, if you tell him to play these parts, he'll nail them for sure.
Yeah. Basically, my fill-in philosophy is, I want, if I'm not going to be there, and I'm by no means the star of the show or the center. I think the vocalist is always the center and who people want to see most and makes the biggest difference, who people recognize. But I do, some people message me and like say they're a fan of me. So for those people, I, would want someone filling in that they maybe already know of, that they would be excited to see.
Yeah.
Instead of just like some random guy from my town, they're like, oh, Andrew from Lorna Shore. I love Lorna Shore. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is sick. And it's sick that those guys would do it too. You know what I mean? That they would agree to.
Yeah. So
what you just said about people wanting to see the vocalist, that's a really good mentality to have as a guitar player. Because a lot of people, it's like a meme that the guitar players want to be the loudest in the band or want the most attention. But like knowing that people are there for a vocalist is really smart. Especially, I mean, that comes from being a songwriter too, I believe. You have a lot of focus on other people in the band and you know that it's a collective effort. It's good to hear you say.
Yeah. And there's definitely guitar players that like shove it in everyone's face. I'm like, yeah, I'm the songwriter, I'm the composer, I do everything, blah, blah, blah. And I could certainly have that mentality, but it sure won't get me anywhere or make me any happier.
Unless you're like Steve Vai or something.
It'll probably just give me more disappointment if I didn't get the recognition that those people would want. So, yeah, I'm pretty realistic when it comes to that. It's like, and writing vocals and lyrics that are like good and sound good is difficult. I think rightfully so. it's definitely a very specific and more rare skill set that someone can have a good sounding voice, that they can perform well, and write lyrics that can actually connect with people that don't sound stupid and perform
Yes.
melody. But also, there are also bands where the guitar player also writes vocal patterns and lyrics, and the other guy just looks good and sounds good. I won't call out those bands either, but I was surprised to learn some of the bands that have like iconic vocalists that their stuff is just kind of being written for them, but they are so charismatic and they're so talented that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, really? I didn't know that. But yeah, either way, the vocalist is the star for sure, and makes the biggest difference if a vocalist leaves a band or doesn't show up at a show. That's how I felt. I never saw Howard Jones with Killswitch, and my one time seeing Killswitch when Howard was technically in the band, Phil Labonte from All That Remains was filling in. So I never got to see Howard fill in, which was sad because one of my all-time favorites.
Wow. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
I think, man, I can't think of any shows I went to when they had to fill in. We did a tour with, we did a tour with Thy Art, which I love that band. And Sean, the guitar player who writes most of everything, was on bass. And Andy was on guitar. So they like had they had their lineup, but then Wes Houck was filling in for him.
Did I see this? Was this Born of Osiris?
Yes,
Within
dude.
the Ruins?
What a sick fill-in.
Wait, so did Wes play the Webster show? Because I
want to say he did.
The Webster, everyone in Diet were Halloween costumes that show.
Yes.
CJ was Batman.
Yep. Yeah, Wes was playing that show.
One of them was Popeye. Okay. I didn't realize that because I took a few lessons with Wes this year.
Dude, Wes is a psycho, man. I think he's like easily, if not one of the best guitar players in the scene, 100%.
Just a few words about Wes.
Here we go.
So I've been trying to correct some technique things, and it's just so easy and natural for him. And I've always played with little regard to technique. I kind of started guitar because I thought it didn't require technique. I come from like a cello, piano background.
Oh, wow.
Like you have teacher is always like, no, your fingers have to be arched like this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, oh, that's hard. I want to just rock that.
I just want to shred.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so guitar, that's the mindset I went is like, I'm doing this for fun, not for technique. And now it's like, all right, I need technique if I want to play step on. So Wes,
it's still caught up to you.
Yeah, Wes messaged me one day, like last year when I was on tour, and he was like, the new Shadow 10 album is a perfect record. I love it.
Whoa.
I'm like, wow, I've heard of you. Thank you so much. And we kept in touch, and he gave me like 1 or 2 free lessons off the bat, and that got me hooked. I'm like, man, he's pointing out everything I'm doing wrong. I'm going to get a few more. And so we really like take a look at why my right hand looks so weird and why my left hand isn't as fast as I want it to be. And honestly, a lot of it is just if I want to be where I'm at, where I want to be, I need to be playing like 3+ hours a day, which I'm not at all.
I feel you there, man.
Like, I was looking for easy answers, but he would like show me something and be like, yeah, just do this. And he's like perfectly relaxed, perfectly clean. Everything looks great. And then he's like, yeah, we'll do it at this speed that anyone should be able to do. And I'm like, I can't do it. My technique like completely falls apart. And I'm just like, God damn it.
Dude, the thing about Wes that I'm so jealous of is everything he does is just very minimal movement and effortless.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing I'm getting towards is my left pinky is going up a little higher than it should. My picking is maybe a little too wide.
The way I would best describe like my jealousy of his playing is like instead of these like huge jumps from like note to note, it seems like he's almost just like gliding around. Like there's just very and it's just like the accuracy. Yeah, Wes is an insane guitar player.
Yeah.
Huge
So
shout out to him.
Yeah, watching him do that and then me trying it is demoralizing, the word. Just like, it shouldn't be this hard, but it is this hard.
Yeah.
But watching him do it, it's like not hard at all, and it definitely like made me beat myself up a lot. It's just like,
I mean, that's good though. If anything, it'll just make you an even better guitar player than you already are.
oh,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not good at anything. After that, it's just like I am a terrible player. Everything I have right now is pure luck and pure studio magic, and I am just complete garbage that doesn't deserve anything
Well, and I
that I
think,
have.
as harsh as that sounds, I think that's a good mentality to have too, because if you think you're great, you probably stop trying to improve and strive for betterness. And
I think it's a Jimi Hendrix quote. He said, "Compliments are just a distraction."
it's brutal.
Yeah.
But I can agree to some point. I mean,
Yeah.
like literally being on Instagram, you just scroll. I have a lot of like guitar players on my feed, and you just scroll for like 5 minutes, and you just feel inferior and trash, and it's just like, all right, well, time to practice.
Tim Henson, for one.
Yep.
You know, they have their their image and their perception of like, oh, these punk kids just trying to look cool. But then I like look at his actual playing, his videos. I'm like, he's impeccable. He's as good as anyone I've ever seen. He's truly like, I'd be like, yeah, Chon's way better. They're so good. And then but recently watching Tim play, I'm like, he's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he's insane. He's a genius, and also shreds.
Yes, it's definitely because when you have like an image like they do, you kind of like want to hate them, but they're just so talented. It's like more talented than I originally gave them credit for. They just keep getting better and better at playing.
Right, and
it's like,
their new sound is also almost an illusion because it doesn't sound very guitar driven or like difficult.
right.
I mean, it's insane, but like even their older music, they were definitely a lot more shreddy from like, you know, just from out the gate. But their new stuff is insane and so difficult to pull off too. They're really defining their own sound too, which is really cool.
It's maybe shreddier, but I don't think any more difficult to play than what they're doing now. What they're doing now looks extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And then there's this guy, I keep forgetting his name, but he's, I believe, a Japanese male, and I see his videos on my feed sometimes. He has a lot of followers.
Ichiko? That dude?
I think so.
He was on the last Polyphia record?
Most likely, yeah. He also is brilliant.
Ichiko's insane. It's always like the really clean, chimey type tones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ichiko.
And just as someone who wants like a sustainable future as a musician, not I'll have a job as long as my band exists. That's not my goal. My goal is to play music until I retire. In some capacity, I don't ever plan on having like a grown-up job. Even though I did go to college, I do have an economics degree just in case I wanted one. But after being where I am now, even if I have to like just be like a full-time recording engineer, I'm totally fine. Like mixing engineer, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
But I don't plan on like not playing music. And I think just maximizing my time while I'm young, save up a lot, and maybe even retire early. I don't know. That's just like, I can't predict the future at all. I could lose my fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
well, I mean, I kind of live by the philosophy that you never know what's going to happen in life, and I think COVID is a purely great example of you just there really is no solidity in the future, and that doesn't mean live life like a psychopath, but
correct.
Yeah.
But one good way to capitalize on that is like the Instagram guitar players are getting a following. And if you have a following of people, that sets you up very well for the future as well, because no matter what you pursue, musically, you'll have people that know about it and
Yeah,
likely support you as long
completely
as
agree.
you don't turn out to be like an asshole or something.
Yes.
But yeah, building that following like Ichika or Tim Henson or Matt Heafy is a little bit of a different example. His following was kind of built from his band, and then. But the point is, if you build a following for you, you're set up very well for the future. So that's one big way I'm trying to use this time is I want to get a lot better, get Instagram videos that look half as cool as these guys' videos, and just keep the following going.
Yeah, I
Um,
need to be better about that too, man. It's just
and
always something I strive to be better at.
and I give people lessons, but I want to be even more qualified to give people lessons. Um, like lessons are a cool thing that I've been giving out during this time.
I do lessons every once in a
Uh,
while, and I really appreciate them too because it makes me a better guitar player. Helping
yeah,
someone, like really like breaking down what I do as a guitar player and sharing it with somebody, it improves me massively.
absolutely.
Um,
And then just the studio work too. I would say that's like the main time/income thing as far as like stuff that's not passive income, stuff that like I'm actively doing for other people is probably studio work, mixing, mastering, songwriting, recording, engineering, all that stuff. And that's something I want to continue doing. A company called Focal actually just sent me free studio monitors and headphones, 2 sets of headphones, probably close to like $500 to $1,000 value, all for free.
fuck
And
yeah.
that was humbling. That makes me feel like I'm getting somewhere in like the
Yes.
audio world too. Um, I'll I think we're doing like artist testimonials like this month or next month, but very happy about that. I definitely love the audio stuff. If for some reason I couldn't play music live anymore, but I could still do the studio, I'd be completely fine.
Well,
But
well,
I definitely want to.
while we're on this topic, this is one of the questions of mine. What if you can't play music and you can't do studio work? What do you think you would be doing?
I so this is one more venture that I have
Okay.
um, that I might be happy with. So just I know this is still kind of music, but it's a good opening topic. Having Shadow Intent be like a DIY thing with no label, and I manage it, and it's just become like a business. It's literally like a startup company where I do the taxes. I like see what's coming in, what's going out, what I can do to maximize it.
Yeah.
It's developed, and being an economics major, I've developed like a very entrepreneurial mind. And so one venture that one of my friends has gotten into is Amazon FBA. Do you know what that is at all?
I do. That's where you
So
like invest in material for them to sell for you, right?
something like that, yeah. So he
Yeah.
does product research, collects data on what products people are interested in, um, and he sells. Amazon ships them all, does everything. He just has to keep the stock
Right.
good. He has to figure out what
Yeah.
people actually want.
I
Be
know
on
I
top
know a
of it.
guy who actually makes an insane amount of money doing that.
Yes, he grossed 750,000 last year.
And it's
The
well, what a
net.
good year to do it. You know, everyone lives through Amazon right now.
Yes, yeah, that
Uh,
was last. Oh, sorry, 2 years ago. I
okay.
think he scaled even more this
Oh yeah,
year.
he had to have. And that's
So
basically like if you're right now, if you went on Amazon and made purchases, you would scroll down and it would say you would buy it from Amazon and they would ship it, but it says it's from this seller.
right.
Right. It's pretty much what that is.
Um, and yeah, so I've started it. I haven't launched my first product yet, but that is um something I'm into. Um, yeah, as far as what I fill my time with, that's another question entirely because um, when you are selling a product and you can delegate tasks to other people, that doesn't really take up a lot of time. You still have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
So it's a question it's asked by many people, but my favorite is in Tim Ferriss's book, the 4 Hour Work Week book. Is he asks if you could be doing anything, what would you be doing? And for me, it's Starcraft or music. So, and the idea is like you separate your time from your income, because when you are selling a product, it's not like if I work an hour, I get this much money. It's you get money as things are being sold, and that's not completely, but largely independent from how much time you're putting into it when you sell a product. Similar to streaming, a good example is once the songs are up, you don't necessarily have to do a lot to make people listen to it. People listen to it if they want the product.
Yeah.
And a good product gets sold, whether or not you put more time into it. So that's how I would probably I would continue to invest in entrepreneurial things such as that, so that I continue to have free time to do the things that I want to do, and that's music. So, but like you said, I couldn't do music, so I might just end up playing StarCraft all day.
No, I mean, being an entrepreneur, that is a skill, and a lot of entrepreneurs, you know about them and you know they're wealthy, but half the time you're not even really sure what they do. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. And then I've heard the conversation many a times that most tech leaders aren't in tech; they're in entrepreneurship.
Right.
They're basically just free thinkers and create, and the people that work under them is the ones who bring that to fruition, and it's powerful, man. Especially as technology grows and time goes on.
Exactly. And I think also my mindset is, as much as I'd like to play StarCraft all day, every day, I've been drilled into my head from, I feel like it's common sense, but when my parents do that, I would just feel like a piece of shit if that's all I was doing every day.
Yeah.
But it's technically what I like doing at the moment, and would like, if I could be doing something, I'd probably be doing that. But yeah, expanding like business enterprises, I'd probably focus on that, I suppose. It just like, sorry, what were you saying?
No, I'm chilling.
Oh, okay. Just like, not putting myself in a situation where someone else is profiting off my labor.
Right.
It's being in a situation where I'm heading something, but if I need help with something, I'm delegating tasks to other people if I start feeling like I can't do everything on my own anymore. And I know people that have done that, even as simple as a painting business. A bassist from one of my old bands started as a painter, started hiring more painters. Now he doesn't even paint anymore. Soon he won't even manage it anymore. He'll get a manager.
It's kind of like Brian Hood, man. He's killing it right now. He started as a home studio, then he started subletting out his mixing, his tracking, and then he got people to do his mixing, and now he just like teaches people how to mix on an online course and start their own studio. Like, he's just crushing it.
To be fair, Brian Hood is one of my heroes. I've listened to his every episode of his podcast, over 100 episodes, and a lot of my mindset comes from him. So
that's so funny. Yeah. I mean, we recorded with Brian Hood. I've known Brian Hood for so long. So it's like, that he is like almost the prime example of just taking time from tracking bands in his home to just becoming an entrepreneur and just actually crushing it.
Yeah. My approach to life has changed over the past few years a lot because of him and what he says. He's definitely one of the most inspiring people I know. And I love how he made like Impulse and Augment turn out. Even though I know you didn't get to be participating in those too much, I know you got to play the song.
No, I was actually in the studio for Augment. That's how I joined the band.
Because I know Alan did like Frostbite and maybe
Rebirth.
Some of the songs.
Yeah, I mean, I was there the entire time they were in the studio for Augment.
Oh, I completely forgot you were the bass player.
Yep. Yes.
Completely forgot. That's great.
Yeah.
And then there was no bass player. Then there was Blake.
Yeah. Then there was Trey from Invent Animate for a little while. But yeah, we don't have to go down that road.
Did Trey do more than one tour?
He did 2 or 3, I think. I could be wrong.
I think I saw him on your guys' headliner that Event Animate was on, unless he didn't play bass. Maybe no, Blake played during that, and then Trey was just playing with Event.
Yeah.
I think that toured Polyphia.
Oh yeah.
And maybe one other band.
Yeah, that was the headliner we did actually. It was crazy. Man, yeah, it's literally all becoming a blur to me. How sad is that?
Yeah. Danbury, Connecticut, and then it's when Ian was on vocals, and we all went to Denny's after the show.
That's a given, you know. Any late night breakfast place, we're gonna be there.
Yeah. And my friends, 2 of my friends went with me, and After Image, that was the other band, and Ian was like, "Hey, pass down the waters." For some reason, that's like my friends always bring up like how pissed Ian was that people weren't passing down waters fast enough. That for some reason, that's like their favorite moment.
It's a good moment. Hey, if anyone knows a vocalist, it's how important water is, you know.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, we love that show. But yeah, it just goes to show. I think I like to think I've seen all the early Connecticut era shows more than anybody else. I think.
I know some pretty OG people from Connecticut.
You're right.
But I do remember you, like, as far back as I can remember. You definitely get an accolade on that one.
I don't deserve it.
Well, let's this has been more of I'm trying to make my podcast a little bit more free flowing instead of just like question after question. But one thing I do typically like to ask is like your almost upbringing into the guitar world. What really motivated you as far as bands you were listening to, or like you already said you came from like a more classical background, but what drove you to really learn guitar and get into this genre of music and stuff like that?
3 words. Guitar Hero 3.
Okay. Dude, I mean, that was a huge motivator for a lot of like teenagers in that time period, you know what I mean?
Yes. I was 14 playing piano and cello, and that was like kind of what my parents encouraged me to play. And then my brother shows me Guitar Hero 3. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I play it more and more. Then all these bands pop up, like Metallica, Slayer, Dragon Force, Slipknot, Killswitch Engage. All these bands are in that game.
Yeah.
And those are the bands I started listening to right away and discovering more of their stuff. Metallica, Slipknot, Killswitch Engage, especially.
And it's also, sorry, not to cut you off. It's also crazy that that video game, I feel like, popularized a lot of those bands for people who didn't even listen to that genre, just because the game was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it helped bring metal to more of a forefront in society. But yeah, my brother started showing me more bands. He got like burned the music from a friend. He got like the first Dance Gavin Dance record. He got some Dream Theater records. He showed me the Devil Wears Prada and Atreyu at some point, and that was when I liked Metallica and I liked Slayer and Megadeth, but I noticed like the music that was actually modern that people my age wanted was metalcore. It wasn't classic metal. So my first band, as much as I wanted it to be like a thrash metal band, it ended up being metalcore, and metalcore is kind of what I always stuck with and delved deeper into, just because the people around me were not into classic thrash metal. I knew a few people, but most people liked the Devil Wears Prada, Killswitch Engage, that kind of stuff. So that's what I really focused on and honed in on from the start of my first band. And the people I had my first band in went even deeper. They're like Attack Attack, The Word Alive,
oh yeah,
We Came as Romans, Asking Alexandria. So I really honed in on the Seenie Weenie stuff, and that But I had like that arrogant mindset. I was like, I'm gonna be more technical than all these bands. I'm gonna blow them all over the water, and I didn't. We weren't that good at all. But
yeah,
it got me thinking. Like it took me a long time to realize, and maybe I still don't fully realize it. But maybe there's more to good songwriting than playing stuff that's hard.
Yeah.
Clearly, my music hasn't gotten too much easier over time. I like to think some of Current's new stuff is a little easier than what we've been doing before. And it's hard to, when I see comments about how like it's not as technical as before, I'm like, oh crap, I should have made it more technical. But then I see the overall growth of the band. I'm like, oh, maybe I did make the right choice. I don't know. So um, it's a hard balance there,
Yeah.
especially since I'm trying to be like good at guitar, make cool Instagram videos, be like just a generally good guitar player. But yeah, that's my upbringing into music, and did a bunch of bands, and eventually ended up recording a Shadow and 10 EP. Literally like a week apart from someone from Currents asking me to write their album with them, and then shortly after I was in Currents. And
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's how that went. It's cool.
yeah, yeah. Shadow and 10 technically came first for me. I met Ben, the vocalist, in May 2012, and I auditioned for Currents almost a year later in 2013 and did not get the spot. Someone else got it because they already knew the other guy. I was just a stranger that hit them up online, and you're gonna pick the guy that you already know, like, and trust than the guy that comes to one tryout that you don't know.
Yeah.
That was understandable, but it at least put me on their radar. Like I knew them now, and when the other guy didn't work out, I was the sloppy seconds.
Now you were the guy that they knew.
Yeah, that they settled for.
Yeah.
So it all worked out eventually. It's fine. But I just never had the mindset that I was gonna put all my eggs in one basket in one band, and that doesn't fly with everyone because you like to know that you can depend on the people you're in your band with to always show up. But I think I try to contribute a lot from a musical and business standpoint. And if there comes a day where I'm not able to show up, I'm gonna put in my 110% to train to fill in, not add any extra stress to anyone's life, and just make everything work for everybody the best I can.
I think you're doing a great job, Chris.
Truly. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I just never thought that I should only have one band. And it was kind of accentuated. Currents, for a while, was the only band I was playing live with. And we came into a situation where we just recorded an album, but it didn't come out for a long time. It didn't come out for a year after it was recorded. And I wasn't sure if like the label didn't like it or if the band didn't have potential or whatever. So I was going crazy. I was like, I need to do something musically. And the vocalist for Shadow Intent was like, we got to play live, dude. We got to do more unless people are really into it. And so I kept writing music for it. And then it just came to a point where I didn't want to play live with Shadow Intent. I never did, but it came to a point where it was like, all right, we'd be stupid if we don't at least try and just see what happens. And we sold out our very first show ever, and other two shows still had like 400, 600 people. And we're like, immediately got hit up by an agent. You remember JJ? We had JJ for Currents era.
Yes. Yeah.
Shadow Intent. JJ was the guy. He gave a lot of Shadow Intent's early opportunities. Like the first tour we ever did was with Carnifex in Oceano.
Ooh.
Second tour was a Black Dahlia Murder, Whitechapel.
That's so
Flesh
sick.
God Apocalypse. yeah, just immediately good opportunities, and it just motivated me more to try to make both work. And I wanted, just to focus on one thing finally, but um, it just felt like a situation where if I can make both work, I should try because I'm missing out a lot if I don't. So that's kind of been my mindset.
To
And
to
now,
to backpedal a little bit, the whole
yeah,
mentality. I think if a label's taking time on your record, I think it means it's good because they want to. Like I get that mindset about thinking like, oh, do they think we suck? But like if I think if a label thinks you suck, they just want to release it and get the money they can off of it. I think that's more the mentality. But like if they're taking time, it probably means they want the rollout to be good. They want to have all the force behind it that they want to. But it's
yeah,
fun. It's funny that we had two polarizing looks on that.
yeah. Yeah, I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't think they want talking about it too much. But it was scary for me because I just graduated college and I was like, all right, out of college, time to tour. I was expecting to
Time to
tour.
not get a job and do a band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was ready to tour right out of college, and instead I spent 6 months working at a restaurant, and I dreaded every day going to work.
Yeah.
I didn't really have much experience. Started at the bottom as a busser. I was like, man, I don't want to do this. I want to play music. But a lot of people I know that were in touring bands like worked at a restaurant too because they let you take time off. But this whole time I was also growing like my studio business, developing that. And basically once I started touring, finally, I was in a position where I didn't really need the restaurant job anymore because the studio filled up my time home. It's not at a point where I could do it year round and be fully booked every week,
Yeah.
every day, but it's enough to where between tours, it absolutely fills up the time.
It's
To
sustainable.
where,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I was very scared when our album wasn't coming out, and I was expecting the tour and release the album right after it's recorded, and it didn't happen.
Well, when you're in the dark, it's scary. It's a scary
Yes.
feeling when you don't
Okay.
you don't have control, and I get that.
That's a big thing too. Is we had I don't know if you ever met our old drummer Jeff um, before Matt, but
I don't think
he
so.
was what you'd call the point person, the guy that all contact with the label, with the management agent was all him, and none of us ever got to talk to those people.
Was he the band dad, as people like to?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, he was maybe a bit overprotective of it, and he didn't trust us with those enough. But he's the only founder of the band. None of us are original like he is.
Okay.
But for me, like my mindset is I want to do music forever, and if I've never talked to these people and don't have these contacts, what happens if I ever don't have the band anymore? I have no network, no connections. I'm just
Yeah.
nobody, and that was scary for me too, because I think like friendship networking is super important, and
It's a huge piece of the puzzle.
every promoter I ever like my band ever works with, every agent, and everyone like Corey, for example. I love Corey. I love knowing Corey, even though I'm not in business with Corey. Maybe one day there's something that Corey and I could do together that makes sense. I think he's great. What he's doing for you and Fit for a King, Silent Planet, he's clearly on top of it. Not knowing Scott Lee, like not being able to talk to Scott Lee and having all of that was annoying because he's my manager. I should be able to talk to him.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's just like a weird dynamic. But thankfully, now I talk to Scott every day. A little less since we're not touring, but also oddly a little more because we're both so bored. So maybe about the same.
It's less business and more like, hey, what you doing?
Yeah. But he's very entrepreneurial minded too.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of I'm actually working with him on his merch company a little bit, Downright Merch, that has like Amir and All Time Low and Megan the Stallion. He does
Oh my
like merch
god,
for them.
he does Megan the Stallion.
I couldn't believe it. Basically, I think it's called 300. It's basically, I forget if it's Megan's label or management, but basically
So funny.
every artist on that he handles.
Oh.
And Megan is the most notable one that I saw. So
Yeah.
I was like, she had the #1 single release of all time with Cardi or Nicki, I forget. Cardi.
I don't know either.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, so I'm kind of in a position where I'm like sort of part of the company as far as like bands I bring in.
Okay.
I'm like involved with those bands, which is cool. It's a nice little thing he included me on. And if I never got into like a working relationship with him where I'm just like the guitarist in the band that the manager never deals with, then it's no problem. And I'm glad it worked out to where I actually get to talk to people now. It was definitely weird, like writing the music, and again, not to reveal too much, but the label did make it sound like they might want one or two things writing wise changed about the record, which is normal, and it's don't hold it against them whatsoever. And maybe they'll hit me for mentioning that. Hopefully not. But to not like have direct contact with him and know exactly what they want seemed very backwards to me, because it's being like playing telephone, you know?
Yeah, I mean, just like in any relationship, communication is key. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Since the day I joined Era, we just, if you email our email, it comes to all of our personal phones right then and there, and it's just like,
wow.
It's just like
That's
how,
really cool.
Yeah, it's just how it should be. We're all up to date on everything. We're all on the same page, and we all have direct communication. Sometimes,
if you don't mind me asking, how did you set that up?
Just through sharing an account. We just have like a business account that we all have access to. And
okay, so you're just all logged into one email.
Yep.
It's not like it funnels into personal emails. Okay.
Which can get a little hectic sometimes, but we've just gotten good at managing. Like if we respond to an email, we head it with who talked and who had input.
So that's kind of the. I'm sure it works for you guys, but I could see like how it might not work. If someone opens an email and doesn't reply and just kind of forgets about it, and no one is looking for an email that's already open,
and that has happened.
Yes, that can get messy.
But it's also like, I don't know, when 5 people are reading from one email, you just get good at like scrolling through almost like you would an Instagram feed. You know what I mean? You're just like, well, I just need to see what's been going on, catch up, and maybe reply.
Right.
So it's definitely like a learning curve, but we've been doing it since day one. So it's just, and like we said, we're never in the dark about much of anything. So it's really good.
If you've got a good system, it's good. I would just personally be afraid if not everyone was used to it. If like,
which I mean, at the end of the day, all you really have to do is CC everyone's personal emails. But even then,
that's too much work.
That's too much typing, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about some gear, because at the end of the day, we're guitar players and we nerd out about gear we use. Or do you?
Oh, yeah.
Do you nerd out about your gear?
Not really, because I've used Xfix Ultra since 2012, and I have not looked back. I don't really I wouldn't mind upgrading to like the Xfix 3 or 2 XL or whatever. It'd be fine. But I like what I have a lot, and I will say I really like my guitars. Like, my guitars, I just think tone only gets you so far, and your guitars and your playing make a way, way bigger difference.
What a touchy subject. Not really.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but a lot of people would be like, tone is life.
Well, so tone is life, but I guess amp/cab.
Right.
Once your amp/cab is good, to me,
Right. The only thing
the
that you
rest
can
comes from
yeah.
your guitar and your playing. And having brighter sounding wood and pickups and strings, like making sure your strings are new, makes a way bigger difference to me. Like you can tweak an amp, sure, but it doesn't sound good if the other elements aren't as good as they can be.
Yeah.
And so I think as far as gear, I focus more on basically the DiMarzio Fusion Edge and the Fishman Fluence are,
Oh, okay.
I think, my favorites that I have
The
right
Fusion Edge is like the Ibanez exclusives, right?
now. I believe so.
Yeah.
And it's weird because online I see a surprising amount of negativity surrounding them, but for some reason I just think they sound so bright and twangy and beefy/juicy. All the adjectives I like.
Just
They have
all the words.
everything I like about Fusion Edge. I think the Fluence together, like I like both of what they're doing. So, and this is just compared to other guitars I've owned. I've owned about 15 plus guitars, I think. And these are my favorites. So I'm sure there's people that have played 40 guitars and they'll, like, I hear a lot about bare knuckle, um, or there's all those brands. There's so many brands.
Well, there's a lot of hype behind the Fishman right now, and I mean it's well deserved. It's very technologically advanced for pickups. I feel like being active but sounding passive and split coil, all that jazz.
The funny thing there is Tosin Abasi was on Doc Coyle's podcast, if you know Doc Coyle.
I don't.
And he plays guitar for Bad Wolves, and he used to have a band called God Forbid.
Okay.
He's fantastic, hilarious. But Tosin explains how Fluence is scientifically the best pickup because every pickup is made the same, and other pickups scientifically are not all exactly the same just by the nature of how they're made. I don't remember exactly how he explained it because I'm not super scientific about my guitars, but it made sense when I was listening. So on all Abasi guitars, he has Fishman Fluence because of that.
I get what it's comes down to manufacturing, like hand wiring coils and stuff for pickups, the human error, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That makes sense. The whole charging it like a phone thing gets me a little bit, but
Charging?
yeah, I know some Fishmans you have to like charge it with a micro USB. Do you use batteries in yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah, you can battery or you can literally charge them, which is insane to me.
That's sweet. I didn't know I could do that. I could save a lot of batteries like that.
Well, yes, exactly. But then you have to literally charge your guitar like a phone. I don't know.
I honestly feel like, coming up, I feel like once I started touring, I have to change my battery super often. But it really, as long as you don't leave it plugged in,
yes,
it really doesn't need to be changed that often at all.
No. I change my batteries like once every 2 years, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I thought it would be like way more often the way people talk about it, but you can definitely tell when the battery's dead.
Yes.
You got like a few minutes or hours of like a horrible sounding tone, and then you just get nothing. But before that, it's pretty. I've heard people say change your batteries right before you record. Get a fresh battery in there, but I don't know if there's a huge difference between like a year-old battery that's technically still has another year of life on it versus a brand new battery. I don't know if it sounds any better.
Yeah, I think that's just like, yeah, I mean, it might.
Maybe it's for people that can't hear when the battery's close to dead, the sound that makes, and they just want to be sure.
Yeah.
That it doesn't sound like that. I don't know.
Yeah, man, you should
Feel like,
look into charging your guitar. I know it's a
yeah.
thing.
Well, so I have one right here. Oh, take a look, just to see. Don't see a jack in there. Got my battery.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you have a
Um,
battery port on your guitar, so that makes a little sense.
oh, so the ones that you can charge. Wait, what is that? Oh no. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds cool though.
You got an Evertune in that thing too, right? Is that what I see?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're very cool. I haven't used one live yet. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, I know they're very heavy. Um, I guess I'm not opposed to using one live. I have another guitar that has Evertune, but I don't like the action on it very much. I like the action on this one, but I got it like a month or two after the last tour got canceled. So I might use it live, but at the same time, it's a pretty nice guitar that I don't want to ruin.
And you're
Evertune,
Ibanez, right?
yes.
Did they install the Evertune for you, or did you have to go to a third party installation?
I have never changed the like layout of any of my guitars ever. I've never had a desire to. Everything I've gotten is like factory. I've never changed out pickups. I've never removed volume knobs or changed out a bridge. Okay, so one time on tour, my bridge kind of broke, so I'm gonna send me a new bridge, and I
Yeah.
replaced it
Yeah.
with the same bridge that was on it before.
Yeah, I've done
but
that
I've
before.
but I've never been like, oh, I don't like the pickups or bridge on this guitar. I'm gonna switch it out. I'm just like, if I don't like it, I'll get another guitar, sell it.
Ibanez is
And
also
it's not
very
like,
good at setting up your guitars when they send them to you.
oh yes, I literally this is a great story. So I like their setup better than any setup I've ever gotten. So two of my old Ibanez guitars, I had them refurbished, so like any rusted out components got replaced for free. And just wanted like the action and everything redone. And I literally sent it to them. All I had to do was pay for shipping there. They shipped it back. They covered that. And they replaced the components that were rusty. And the funniest thing happened though. Pretty much right after they arrived, Ibanez shut down for months. So I basically spent half the year without the guitars, which was
Oh
interesting.
man.
Maybe like a third, either a third or half the year. It was a long time though.
It felt like a long time, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was definitely at least 4 months. But I'm glad to have them back. I didn't. There were some of my less used guitars in the studio anyway, which is why I was okay. But yeah, one was like my one that I keep in standard 6 string, like the only guitar I keep in 6 string standard, and that was just gone. And I don't like retuning my guitars drastically. Um, I don't know if it's OCD or anything, but
Well,
I keep
it's
them all.
safe. Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes you
I
have
keep
to
them all
set them up less. Yeah.
within like a whole step of whatever tuning it stays in, and maybe I like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
But it's back now.
Well, let's move on from real quick. What strings and picks do you use? Because that's always a thing.
I'm endorsed by Dunlop Picks and Diodoro Strings.
There you go. Do you what size picks? Do you use Jazz 3s or?
So I think the first year or two of playing, I used the Mini Jazz 3,
Okay.
the classic, and then most of my playing since then, probably like 10 years worth, I used the Jazz 3 XL.
Okay.
Because I felt like if I want to like be more than just a lead player and want to actually have like a right hand that has tone, I should have a pick that's actually like a normal size. And then this year, I've pretty much transitioned to these Dunlop, the green Dunlop Tortex.
See, those are so big. I would struggle so hard. I
So they're
use like
actually
these.
the same size. There's like a little bit more on the sides, but as far as like top to bottom, they're the exact same size as the Jazz 3 XL. It just you can see
Okay,
they're
maybe. Okay, I think I just used the smaller Jazz 3.
yeah, you might.
Yeah.
And that's what Ryan from Currents uses too, and that's what I did start using. But I felt like if I wanted like maybe I just it had to do with the way I was holding my pick, which I'm changing up, but um I don't know if I got as much dig as I wanted to. That would sound good on like a recording.
Okay.
Um live it's whatever. But yeah, since I'm changing up my pick grip after all those West Houch lessons, I've had a lot of trouble with the pick slipping out, and the Jazz 3 just is a lot more slippery than these green picks are. So that's a big reason why I've switched. Um, it would kind of either get knocked out of my hand or just twist around.
Yeah.
And I've just, and the other reason is because Jeff Dunn told me he uses these. If you don't know who Jeff Dunn is, he is a producer slash engineer that did the latest Fit for a King, Demure,
Yeah. Okay.
Ice Nine Kills, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of faith in him when it comes to talking about tone and how to get good tone. At least tone that I would, want. And yeah, Deodara strings I literally used day one. I think I briefly tried an Ernie Ball pack towards the beginning, and I think they just felt I don't know if it was too tight or too twangy to me at first. But I didn't
Same
really.
exact gauges.
It was so long ago.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I literally could probably try them again and think they're fine. I just haven't.
Yeah. I mean, if you're rocking an endorsement and you're happy with it, there's no need to look.
So
back.
we're in an interesting situation. We're kind of endorsed by both, I think. I think I could technically, well, probably not now that we've had this, but there was a time where we could have just got Music Man's at an artist pricing
Yeah. Okay.
if we wanted to.
Yeah.
But because they don't make extended scale length guitars, we literally couldn't. I would have loved to say I was endorsed by Ernie Ball and have Music Man's, but they literally could not produce a guitar that could handle drop E tuning.
Yeah, they don't do a lot of low tuning stuff. They don't do 8 strings. They don't do extended scales.
Exactly. So I love Ibanez, and I couldn't be happier with it. But this was like before ESP. We had the option to do Ernie Ball, and yeah, they just literally couldn't make the guitars we needed, so that didn't happen. But yeah, that's my gear.
Let's tail away from music a little bit. I know I usually like to ask what video games you're into, but you've mentioned Starcraft a number of times, and I've seen you play Starcraft in the venues.
Yes, it's
and which Starcraft? It's like the original, the OG, or
this is Starcraft 2, so the one that keeps getting updated and balanced. And
okay, so they pay a lot of attention to it still.
A month ago, they announced that they're basically paying less attention to it.
It's gotta feel good.
A little, and the server has had some weird issues the past week, but I think they just patched it yesterday. But yeah, it's still the number one 1v1 game like there is currently. And you could also say there's not really a lot of 1v1 games that are popular, but if you're wondering which one was the most popular, it's StarCraft. Because League is technically, even though it's more popular, it's technically like a 5v5 or 3v3.
The only other 1v1 type games I would think would just be like fighting games.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the StarCraft queues are pretty quick. There's always people online from every rank. So I wouldn't say it's dead. It's probably not what it was. I wasn't there for that.
It definitely doesn't sound like it's dead.
I actually only started playing it like 3 or 4 years ago, so I wasn't there for its like prime, but it's
That's
still
strange. You would think playing such an old game, you would have like had a nostalgia factor or like been grandfathered into the system. But what got you into it 3 years ago? Because that seems
so my game of choice has always been RTS.
okay.
So Age of Empires, some of the Star Wars games, RTS, that type of game. And eventually I was like, I want to start playing these with other people, but no one plays any RTS except for Starcraft. So I'm like, all right, well, this is the one. If I want to play with other people, this is the one I'm going to have to play. I would have liked, if Age of Empires 3 wasn't completely dead, I probably would have stuck with that. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, StarCraft 2 is like a community. You can always get a queue going, and it's a lot of fun. Very optimized game, very smooth. Um, and I did try League. I talked with you briefly about this. I did try League for a while before StarCraft, and I failed all 3 of my placement matches into bronze. So I instantly got placed at the very lowest bronze.
I think I did too.
And oh really? Okay. I'm not opposed to giving League another try because like it's a very popular game.
League is very punishing for new players, and I wish that wasn't the case because it's so hard to get people into the game.
That's so a few of the issues I had with League. The main one was your creep score is what lets you afford your builds, and I would look up builds like so I knew what I was doing kind of.
But you'd never be able to afford any of them.
Right, because I wasn't getting the last hits that you need to get on the creeps, or the minions, whatever you call them. So I couldn't afford the builds.
Yeah, you want to separate the pros from the newbies. You just watch a pro match and you see their creep score is like higher than anything you've ever achieved in a game ever, and it's just like, okay, that's one fundamental that they've got nailed.
And the only thing that was annoying was just people on my team leaving. Mm-hmm. That was super annoying. I hated that.
Yeah, it's an incredibly punishing game.
Because what's a game, like 40 minutes?
Yeah.
So they just wasted 40 minutes of and the queues were like pretty long. I don't know I think they became a little better after I stopped. But just waiting like 10 minutes to get into a game and then have someone leave.
These are all incredibly valid points. I can't even defend any of them. I'm just like,
I don't know if this is still like a big issue, but when I played,
yeah, pretty much.
It's like you just wasted a lot, like the queue time and like getting the champion you want if someone else doesn't pick it or it gets vetoed or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I probably would have enjoyed it more if I won more and I got more creep score. Big fan of Heimerdinger.
Oh, Heimer main here.
Yeah, exactly. Heimer. Ooh, just dropped. Yep.
You fell.
I think I'm back. Yes, I'm okay. But I'm super zoomed in, huh? Yeah, there I am. Yep. Check my focus. Heimer with the turrets. Very cool.
Yeah, Heimer's an incredibly. I have a friend who mains Heimer, but in the top lane, like out of meta lane, and he just stops.
Yeah. Every time. I would try him in top. I would try him anywhere, honestly. Not in the jungle, but he was cool.
I know you know who Tyler 1 is. He did like a full season. He's like the League of Legends streamer. He's the really ripped guy who's always screaming really loud.
I actually couldn't tell you. Okay. The only streamers I watch are like Starcraft people, and I've heard of PewDiePie just because he's the biggest YouTuber. But I'm actually not super knowledgeable.
Stream
culture.
But I know
you saw. I believe we were in Detroit, Michigan, and you watched like a live League of Legends tournament.
Dude. Oh yeah, you were on that tour. So sick. That was like one of the. It was my birthday, and I happened to be in the same city. It was so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the East like pro tournament league for North America's finals. So it was the 2 finals team going at it. It was so insane.
Awesome.
But Tyler One
Yeah.
is an ADC main, like in the bot lane, and he played
Yep.
Heimer for an entire season and crushed it.
Yeah. I think Heimer's pretty good everywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe not not jungle, maybe not support. But yeah, I would try Blitzcrank, but when I didn't get the grabs, I was like, why do I even try? I tried Teemo, but Teemo I feel like is a little squishy, so
Yeah.
I die there. Tryndamere, I don't remember why I stopped Tryndamere, but
Well, man, if you ever want to give it another try, I'm always down.
yeah, no, you'd be the first person I hit up when I give it another shot. A lot of times I accidentally click it on my bottom icon and I hear like the super loud music. I'm like, oh, open league packs.
That's funny. That's really funny.
I don't know if you have the music turned off.
I do.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It like, where's that coming from? League's over.
Well, so StarCraft is still going strong. Is there any newer
Yes.
RTSs that you're like excited about, or do they even really play those or make those anymore?
I probably wouldn't. Even if there were some, I probably wouldn't even play them unless they had like not even if they had less than half the players of StarCraft, I'd probably play them. But if there's like no comparison, it's like I don't want to wait.
What's the point? Yeah.
So if and when Age of Empires 4 comes out, I'll definitely be giving that a try.
Okay.
And I think the Blizzard people made a new, like the original Blizzard people that left, created a new company called Frostshine. I think they're making a new RTS, and I'll probably try that.
That sounds cool.
But it's just not a very mainstream style of game. And if I'm gonna play one, it has to be like one that has mainstream draw, like people actually play it. I don't really want to play a game that no one plays, unless I'm just like doing single player for fun.
Yeah,
that's a thing. And
I played some RTS a lot when I was growing up, and the two that really stuck out to me were the Warhammer 40K games. I loved those.
Mm-hmm. Never did that one.
Those are so sick. Else? And then there was this military game. I think it was called Band of Brothers or Brothers and Company, something like that. But it had a really cool, like, you had your like little squad or whatever, but it had a really cool like cover system. I remember that was like really ahead of its time. It was a really fun game.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Company of Heroes, that was it.
Yeah, my brother I think played that. There's some cool ones also called Dark Reign 1 and 2, Battlezone 1 and 2. I mean, I played my brother. Basically, every game I played were games my brother showed me, which is funny because that's how it is for music a little bit.
Yeah, dude, your brother was a champ.
Yeah, he got me into games and music basically. He never like played metal. He's actually super into EDM. He goes to like the big festivals, Electric Forest, that type of dance music festival, but he still like comes through my shows when I play Connecticut.
Oh yeah.
He still likes metal, but as far as like I think his primary interest is a little more EDM now, but he's definitely metal is a close second for him. But yeah, he definitely changed. Yeah, my life would not be what it is if he didn't put me on to Guitar Hero, or maybe somehow I would have found it. That's always likely, but we'll never know.
Yeah,
we'll never know.
It's cool.
And he actually, I just built a PC 2 days ago because I've been playing StarCraft on my MacBook. And I did it with my own two hands, but I would like send him like pictures and videos of what was happening. So he kind of helped me build my PC as well. It was pretty rewarding for me. I was like, whoa, you built a computer, you're so smart. Everyone that built their own computer, I thought, wow, there must be some kind of genius prodigy. And then people are like, no, it's actually pretty easy.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty standard. Like you get all the parts, they all go together pretty much the same way. It's kind of funny. Yeah.
And it worked the first time. Once everything was like I turned it on, it I didn't have to like redo the motherboard or anything.
Yeah,
I did
the
everything.
big scary thing for me is static electricity, how it can easily just like corrupt everything while you're putting something together.
My biggest fear, I'm like not the most graceful / a little clumsy, and I was afraid my steady hands would like knock like a piece off the motherboard or like
Yeah.
snap something. Or just like break the motherboard in half. I don't know. But none of that happened.
Like you're just
I'm
like,
very
all
happy.
right, careful. No.
Like I think the hardest part was like twisting like 2 ports that had to like go into like a very narrow space and
Yeah.
getting it to like bend the right way. Cause you couldn't like reach your whole hand in there. You had to like it's kind of like depends how your rack is set up, but getting like a power cable if your power conditioner is between 2 racks that are longer than it, and trying to get the power cable in between there.
Dude,
and
if
can't
you
get your
tour
phone.
and you have some of those racks, man, I think you can build a computer just fine. Because, dude, our inner rack
Exactly.
is a monster.
Dude, if anything in my inner rack gets unplugged or unwired, I'm fucked. I'm gonna have to. I would literally call Taurus right then and there.
Really?
I'd be like, absolutely. I'd be like, Taurus, what do I do?
Our inner rack is flyable, but we have to disconfigure it and then reconfigure it overseas anytime we do that.
So by that I mean like anything XLR or multi-pin, fine.
Okay.
That's fine. But if like all the little cables, like the individual channels, if anything happens with those, I'm like,
oh yeah.
fuck.
I have to reconfigure every plug every time, so I can build it up from scratch. Now it's
because ours was pre-built and wired by BTPA. So
I want to go that route
one.
eventually. BTPA is so sick. But no, we made ours ourselves, and so I have to know the ins and outs. And
gotcha.
Yeah,
that's good to know that.
Well, yeah, but then also anytime there's an error, I don't have to call anybody. I just
yeah,
reach
absolutely.
back there.
Yeah. I mean, it's good stuff to know, and I think I should know. But on both racks, actually, I think 1 or 2 of the channels just got busted in transit. BGPA said they tested them before they got sent out. But yeah, both front of houses for both bands and both tours told us, oh yeah, these 2 channels aren't working. You have to. So Currents actually literally has to like plug in a whole new XLR cable every time, just because of how something doesn't work.
Do you leave like open channels for extras?
It's been so long since we've done it. I literally don't even remember what the problem is. But I know
like
that,
if Era's full set is 20 XLRs, we typically have 24 spaces. So if 2 blow, we still have 2 that we can swap them to. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like the instrument ones. It's for. It's so Christian, the bass player, can like hear from his pack in general. I really don't remember, but I know everything where like the instruments, like the tape, hi-hat, kick, that all works. It's something else that is busted.
Dude,
so long.
Like I said, they're so complicated. It's actually insane.
It is. Yeah, it's been so long. We got it November 2019, I think. So literally 14 months ago. And the last time I used it was March, 10 months ago.
Ugh, so sad, dude.
We don't remember.
Era took time off before COVID to record an album. So like I think it's been over a year since I've played a show.
Because there was it was our tour with you guys, August Friends Red. That was our first time using our in-ear rack, was on our tour with you guys. That's right.
So fun.
It was, yeah. I mean, funner for you guys because you had the little mini bus thing. This was our first time doing Europe and not a bus.
It was ours too. Yeah, I mean, we had the minibus, but we every time we go to Europe, we share just like one of the sick buses with the bands. But
I think
that tour was fun. It was okay.
yeah, it was cool. It was hard for us. No one really. I don't think we've ever slept so little on a tour
Oh man.
because our our van only had 2 bunks technically. You'd have to just yeah, there was not room for everybody to sleep. Um, but probably won't have to deal with that again. I think we're at a point now where we could probably get a mini bus if for some reason we don't do a proper bus.
Yeah. I prefer sharing with bands in Europe
Yes,
so much.
yes, it's a lot of fun. Um, the first time we did it, we shared with Miss May I, Fit for a King, and Void of Vision. That was our first Europe tour, and the second one we shared with Thousand Below, Polar, and God, they'll hate me if I don't remember. It
So,
might have just
dude, a 4-band split in a bus is brutal. That's like you're maximizing the
yes,
space. But I've done it too. I've done that. My first tour in Europe was with North Lane and Vin Animate and Ocean Grove. And I mean, every bunk was taken up. There was never privacy, but you're still on a bus, so it's like sick.
yeah. No, I remember. I actually just saw that flyer yesterday for some reason. I don't remember where it popped up, but I remember when that tour got announced, and I was like, man, they're so lucky.
It was a sick tour.
Event Anime gets to go to Europe with or I guess Ocean Grove. I didn't really know who Ocean Grove was, but I knew who everyone else was. It was like, man, I want to be on that tour.
Yeah.
North Lane era Event Anime. That was like the ultimate trifecta.
The ultimate camaraderie tour too. We were just all homies, hanging out all the time. There was never any weirdness. There was some crazy nights on that tour, just because, like I said, we were always all together. So funny. I remember the tour ended and we were all crowd surfing people on the bottom level of the bus. Like we were all just we were playing like rave music and like throwing flashlights around and like crowd surfing people from one end of the bus to the other. It's just
we literally did that exact same thing on Never Say Die.
It's just like
what you're saying is literally something that we were a part of on a different tour.
That's hell so yeah, funny. That is funny. That's so crazy. Well, so I guess we can wrap it up. We've been live for a little while. It was
sure thing.
Incredible having you. I usually end with a question, and if the chat would like to ask you any questions, they can go for it.
All right, chat. Let's see what you got.
So my question normally to end podcasts is, do you believe in aliens? However, I watched a show recently that kind of blew my mind. And I think I'm going to change my end of the podcast question to, what do you think the most dangerous thing about technology is?
Dangerous thing about technology? That's pretty big. I'm definitely going to need a few seconds about it.
Hey, man, take your time. I want an authentic answer.
I guess this is the main thing I'm thinking of, and dangerous might not be the word, but it could very well become dangerous, is that I believe that the more time technology has to figure everything out, the less need there are for people to have jobs and do work. And if cloning and mass reproduction work out where there's no longer a food shortage anywhere and everyone's food situation is taken care of, regardless if they have money or not, and basically means for survival is already figured out, there's no longer a need for work. So what the world becomes, I haven't watched Star Trek, but on Brian Hood's podcast, they talk about Star Trek where basically it's set in this place where there's no need for jobs anymore. Technology has everything figured out, so people just explore their passions, and that's what I guess Starship Enterprises is. The people on that are just people that want to explore for the fun of it, and they're not doing it for work. They're just what they want to do. And it goes back to what we said at the beginning. If you could be doing anything, what would it be? And we'll be in a situation where that's how it is for everybody. So when everyone has everything they need, it's I guess, dangerous to think about if no one needs a job and money's not going to exist. So how is allocation going to work? Who's going to get angry about that?
Well, that's a pretty cool concept. I mean, even now, like technology is kind of driving us in that direction. People are saying that this is the year for arts and creativity because like manufacturing jobs barely exist. A lot of serving jobs, like fast food, you just order on a computer.
Yep.
Most of us are just ordering stuff through apps these days. It's like it's already
Yep.
headed that direction.
Yeah, and people will say, like, politicians will be like, this will create 10,000, 100,000 jobs about various programs. But that's fine. But I think, I don't know, not everyone is going to be able to have, I guess, yeah, that's the dangerous thing is jobs are going to be obsolete. And there's a period of time where we're just giving out jobs just so people can have money, but it's not like work that actually needs to be done. It's work that can be done by a
Yeah.
computer.
I think we're wrestling with that a
so
little bit already, which is so funny.
yeah, unemployment, if I recall, um, at least under this presidency, not that I am a supporter of this presidency whatsoever, but I think one of the pros was unemployment was at a good rate. Um, I don't align myself with Donald Trump if anyone was curious. But I just, from what I've read, that's a statistic I saw that unemployment is at a very good rate currently. Um, and so that's, we're doing okay. But yeah, I think the world is headed in a direction where people don't really need to work. And once proper food reproduction, because I think that's, as far as like big issues what the world has, world hunger is probably somewhere on the top, and that can be figured out if technology advances in a way where everyone can be fed. Whether or not people think it's profitable to pursue that is another matter entirely.
Right.
But I think
I'm super all about like sustainability and stuff, and I saw where like there's more technologically advanced like farming methods where we farm vertically instead of horizontally, and that's just supposed to be like a big thing. And there's basically like libraries of gardens that people walk through instead of like a huge acre field. Man,
really, so anything, that's something I've always thought about, is anything you can do vertically is probably better.
right. But it's like the whole mentality with people living in apartment buildings that are up instead of flat. And
yeah,
it's just
anything you can do vertically, I think you should do. You can preserve people that care about nature. You can preserve nature a little better. But then driving through, when you drive through Utah, it's like, there's nothing here. We have room for more stuff. There's not even like a national park or forest here. It's
I know,
literally
man.
desert, nothing. Stuff like, we could put stuff here if we
and then you drive through anywhere in Illinois, and it's just miles and miles and miles of corn, and it's insane.
Yeah.
It's like literally so much land is quite literally just being used for corn.
Yeah. Agriculture, I guess I understand, that's something. But like, when we're driving through Utah, Nevada, New Mexico, I'm like, I actually would like if something was here. I would like it if I didn't have to be 2 hours away from the next gas station. I personally,
I feel you, man. It's crazy.
But yeah, that's my answer on technology. I think it's a little dangerous. I think there's some positives, but it's dangerous to, when people no longer need to work, what is the solution there? That's dangerous to think about. But I mean, look at these questions. We have, what's your favorite color?
Yeah, let's go on that one.
With black. Black I always wear.
Vanta black, the material that is so dark it doesn't produce any more light. Have you seen that?
Exactly. I don't think so. I've heard of it.
Crazy.
Though.
This is a good one. Yeah, what amp block do you use in your Axe effects? Your tone is sick.
I think it's Recto New is what it's called.
So it's basically a sim of a rectifier. I'm
Yeah,
only assuming.
yeah, the Recto Sim. I think I use FAS Modern for some stuff, maybe. At least I used to.
Okay.
Favorite movie slash TV shows? I think Star Wars slash Dark Knight trilogy
Ooh.
are up there for movies. TV shows is hard, but Family Guy, Simpsons, South Park. Early SpongeBob always has a place in my heart just because there's so many memorable quotes that are applicable to like everyday life.
I love
uh,
SpongeBob. SpongeBob
yeah,
till I die. Straight up.
fantastic. As far as like stuff that's not a cartoon, I really liked Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I always like keep up to date when those come out.
Did you like El Camino?
Oh, the movie, it was interesting. There was a lot of flashback,
Yeah.
which was like fine, I guess. But I don't know if I'd. There's not a lot of stuff I would say I would watch a second time anyway. A lot of stuff, if I already know what happens, I don't really want to see it again, unless it's super funny. Then I like laughing again. But yeah, El Camino was fine. I think Better Call Saul just had me on the edge of my seat
Yeah,
more.
that show was impressively great. Like following Saul, the lawyer, I was just kind of like, how cool could this really get? And it escalated really fast. And I mean, having Mike on the show too, that dude is a legend. Following Mike's story.
Absolutely. Yeah, big fan of Mike Trout, Jonathan Banks.
Mike
He's great.
Trout. He's so sick.
If I could have a genetic upgrade bionic, what would it be? Just like a super suit, right? Just like
All right.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question.
Did you ever play the
able
video game Crisis? You ever heard of that game?
Isn't that like an arcade game
No.
in like bowling alleys? Oh, that's Time Crisis. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. Crisis.
No, I don't think so.
Crisis is a game. It's basically like Far Cry, but the whole thing is you have this genetic super suit that can either turn you super strong, super fast, super fat, like invisible. But you have like all these like mechanics to play with because you have a super suit on.
Gotcha.
So sick.
Yeah. I need a lot more time because of visibility, flight. There's also time travel. I don't know what's even like allowed to put. Someone said we have many national parks. If you drive through the country as many times as Sean and I have, I think you'll agree with us when there's a lot of play. Yes, there are many national parks, absolutely, but there's a lot of nothing where nothing nature or useful is. It's just like straight desert wasteland of nothingness. And this is just where there's road. There's probably miles where there's not even road, and there's also I don't know. There's a lot of shit. Do you watch animes? Great opportunity to bring up Sean's profile picture of where he's One Punch Man. One Punch Man was one I checked out. Very big fan of that. I can't wait for more of that to come out.
I got Genos right here. He's always with us. In case anyone's wondering what this dude is, it's Genos from One Punch Man. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Moomin Rider is just such a funny, useless character. He just shows up on his bicycle.
Yeah.
And just instantly gets the shit kicked out of
him.
Well,
and that's kind of Genos too, right? Like my favorite thing is that Genos is like the coolest character in the show, like as far as aesthetics and like the way he looks when he fights. But he's basically like Krillin from Dragon Ball Z, where he's just the beat up ragdoll of the show. Yeah, he loses every fight he fights.
It's so good,
dude. It's almost a comedy too. That's what I love about it.
It is. So it literally is a comedy. That's why I love it a lot. But Attack on Titan, Naruto, Bleach, Death Note.
Oh,
lot of even Yu-Gi-Oh! I really liked. But yeah, there's a ton of good ones out there. I think like Naruto, as far as something that's super long, stayed the most entertaining. Because when you have like hundreds of episodes of something like One Piece, it's easy to just be like, all right, I'm done with this.
Oh, One Piece is insane. I've never watched an episode, and I never will, because seeing that there's like 1,200 episodes, I'm like, I'll never have the time. I'm like, nah.
I just stopped caring very quickly, but for some reason, Naruto, they just kept it interesting. They kept, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, and Boruto got a little less interesting. It's like
I actually never watched either. I think I've seen episodes of Naruto, but I just never. I don't know. The classics for me were Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, some of the Gundam series. There's too many series. I hate when people just beat a dead horse, man.
I've actually never seen any of those.
Yeah.
I've heard of them though. There was also this. I didn't watch a lot of this, but do you know Bobobo?
Yes, I do know Bobobo.
I always laughed when I saw it. I never was interested enough to watch it as a whole, but I always thought it was funny whenever I saw it.
Yeah.
But let's see, did I miss anything else?
No, I think people are just riffing at this point.
Tell Chris to join our Discord so we can talk anyway.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Chris, this has been awesome. It's been nice to catch up with you and hang out.
Yes, yes it has. I feel like I talked to. It's weird. I talk to Alex every day on tour, but he's been the most off the grid out of everyone else.
Hey, for us too, man. I don't see that guy, and he lives 20 minutes away from me.
He's so funny.
He's hilarious.
He literally never has anything positive to say. It's just so funny.
Yeah, that's Alex.
He can't say anything without me laughing. It's fantastic. Hilarious. A joy.
Chris, this is awesome. We'll stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Feel free to join the Discord if you'd like. But we have each other's Discord now. We can chat it up. We can even maybe play a League of Legends game.
Yeah. I'm willing to. See, I don't even know how that would work though, because you're what, Diamond or something?
No, God no. I'm Silver.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'm trash at that game. You might actually be the missing piece if we get you playing. I have a little metalcore League of Legends team. I'm in the works.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to start a YouTube series where a bunch of metalcore dudes just play League together, and it's just stupid and hilarious.
Yeah, I would do it. That's totally cool.
It's me, Josh from We Came as Romans, Nick Nocturnal,
perfect,
Anthony from After the Burial, and it would be you on ADC. I had Ryan Kirby because he plays League all the time, but he's just gotten so busy. That dude is.
Yeah, he just adopted some kids. Me and him are actually launching a project in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's sick. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, a little bit. Basically, he hit me up. Literally, almost been a year. It's taken a long time to come out, but it's hey man, I'm looking to do some symphonic deathcore. Do you want to write some tracks? I'm like, well, do you want me to just write for you, or do you want to do a legit collab? And he'd be like, let's do a legit collab. We'll name the group. We'll come out with merch and singles and have
nice, dude,
pages. We might do a podcast too together, a music business one. But like you said, he's so busy.
Yeah.
This is taking. I thought this would all be out summer, but he has a lot on his plate now that he has 2 kids to take care of.
I commend him, man. He's awesome. Well, I'll keep an eye out, dude. Thanks for the heads up.
It'll be cool. We feel pretty good about it. We're getting press and lined up and stuff, so it'll be a cool thing to pass the time. He wanted to keep his vocal chops up, and neither of my vocalists have written for all the music I've been writing, so it's nice to have someone write vocals.
Well, I'll get someone else. Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know if we'll ever play live, but at the same time, that's what I said about Shadow Intent, and I really don't think we'll play live. I think at this point, it's going to be hard to get something worth like that could compete with Fit for a King or my
Yeah,
bands.
yeah. Hey man, you never know what the future holds.
You literally never know. That's what Show Intense taught me. I
Yeah.
literally thought we'd have like 20 listeners and it was stupid and it would never amount to anything. But you literally never know.
Yeah. Well, Chris,
And
I
that's
hope this
yes,
year
sir.
I hope this year crushes it for you, and I hope you do well. And it's been a pleasure
Thank you.
talking to you. Yeah,
You
man.
as well.
I'll
And
let you go.
let me know about the leak.
I will for sure, 100%.
All right. Take care, sir.
See you, buddy.